all cast of Sanford and Son who passed away. Right now, in 2026, there is exactly one man left alive from the cast of Sanford and Son. And it isn't Fred. It isn't Lamont. It isn't Aunt Esther. It isn't Grady. It isn't Bubba. And it isn't Rollo. Every single one of them is gone. 2 of them died this year alone, 6 months apart, and most of America never heard about either one. And one of them died standing on a television stage while the crew watched and laughed because every person in that room was certain he was doing the bit. We'll get to him. But we're going to start with the men who sat on that couch next to Fred Sanford in the junkyard at 9114 South Central Avenue. Melvin, the friend who came over to watch TV and eat Fred's food. He was played by Slappy White, and the 2 men on that screen had known each other for a quarter of a century before the cameras ever rolled. Slappy White, born Melvin Edward White, was Redd Foxx's stand-up partner in the late 40s. Foxx and White. They came up together in Harlem. They toured coast to coast with Billy Eckstine's orchestra. And they worked the Chitlin circuit at a time when black comedians could sell out a room and still not be allowed to sleep in the hotel next door. 20 years later, when Foxx finally had his own network show, he brought his old partner onto it. White died on the 7th of November, 1995, of a heart attack at his home in Brigantine, New Jersey. He was 74, and he wasn't the last of Fred's old friends to go that decade, because the man who played Fred's other sidekick was already 87 years old. Bubba, loyal, slow, and always around. Don Bexley was born in 1910, which means he was already in his 60s when Sanford and Son made him famous. He had spent decades on stages nobody was writing about, and the biggest break of his life arrived when most men are retiring. He and Foxx stayed close long after the show ended, and in 1991, when Redd Foxx was buried, Don Bexley was one of the honorary pallbearers. Bexley died on the 15th of April, 1997, of heart and kidney failure. He was 87. Bubba had buried his best friend on that show. So had the man who played the most beloved loafer in the neighborhood, Grady. Whitman Mayo was so good in the part that when Redd Foxx walked off the show in a contract dispute, the producers didn't replace Fred Sanford. They handed the junkyard to Grady. He got his own spin-off series in 1975, and years later, long after Hollywood had moved on, he went back to Georgia and taught acting at Clark Atlanta University. Whitman Mayo died on the 22nd of May 2001 of a heart attack. He was 70. And here is the detail almost nobody catches. The man the whole country knew as Grady died at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta. 16 months later, the woman who used to swing her purse at Fred Sanford was gone too. Aunt Esther. LaWanda Page was 53 years old and had never done a sitcom in her life when she walked onto that set. And she nearly didn't survive the first week. She struggled in rehearsals. She didn't know the rhythms of television. According to multiple accounts of what happened, a producer told Redd Foxx they were thinking about letting her go, and Foxx told them that if she went, he went. He wasn't just protecting a castmate. He was protecting a woman he had known since they were kids in St. Louis. She stayed. She turned Esther into the most quoted character on the show. And she died on the 14th of September 2002 of complications from diabetes. She was 81. Page was 53 when the show found her. The next man was in his 40s, and for him, the junkyard was only the beginning. Achoo. Pat Morita spent part of his childhood in a Japanese-American internment camp during the Second World War, and part of it in a hospital bed with spinal tuberculosis. He came out of that and became a comic. Sanford and Son gave him one of his first recurring roles on network television, and he took the momentum straight into Happy Days, and then into the part that made him permanent, Mr. Miyagi, in The Karate Kid, which earned him an Academy Award nomination in 1985. Morita died on the 24th of November, 2005, of kidney failure. He was 73. Morita left the junkyard and found the biggest role of his career. Lamont's best friend never had to leave. He was there until the final episode. Rollo, the neighborhood kid with a record, the one Fred was convinced would get his son locked up. Nathaniel Taylor appeared in 32 episodes across all 6 seasons, and by most accounts, it was Fox himself who pushed to get him on the show after seeing him work on stage. Taylor died on the 27th of February 2019 at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles after suffering a heart attack. He was 80. Rollo was one of the youngest faces in that cast. The next name was one of the oldest men ever to join it, Woody, Esther's husband, the drinker, the man who never quite got a sentence out, Raymond Allen, joined in 1974 and stayed to the end. He lived longer than almost anyone else in this cast, into a long-term care facility in California, and his daughter announced his death in August of 2020. Reports at the time said he had been dealing with respiratory problems. He was 91. Woody outlived nearly everybody on this list. The neighbor who moved in next door did not. Julio, the Puerto Rican junk dealer who moved in beside the Sanfords with the goat that Fred could not stand. Gregory Sierra left to become Chano on Barney Miller and worked steadily for another 4 decades. He died on the 4th of January 2021 in Laguna Woods, California. His wife said he had fought stomach and liver cancer. He was 83. Sierra died in the first week of 2021. 2 years later, the woman Lamont loved was gone. Janet. Marlene Clark joined in season 5 as Lamont's girlfriend and stayed until the series ended in 1977. Before that, she had already made herself a permanent name in black film history as Ganja in the cult horror picture Ganja and Hess. She died on the 18th of May, 2023, at her home in Los Angeles of natural causes. She was 85. Clark played the woman Lamont loved. The next actress played the woman Fred loved, and she nearly outlived the entire cast. Donna, Fred's girlfriend, then his fiancée, the nurse who was the only person in the world who could get him to behave. Lynn Hamilton had a career that ran more than 50 years, and the same year she was arguing with Fred Sanford on NBC, she was also playing Verdi Grant on The Waltons on CBS. She died on the 19th of June, 2025, of natural causes in Chicago, surrounded by her grandchildren and the people who cared for her. She was 95. Hamilton made it to 95. And for a while, it looked like the 2 cops who kept turning up at the junkyard would outlive everyone. Then, this summer happened. Officer Smitty. Hal Williams was the tall, patient half of the police duo, and he went on to a much bigger second act. Lester Jenkins on 227 for 5 seasons, and Sergeant Ross in Private Benjamin. Hal Williams died on the 15th of July, 2026, at his home in Rancho Mirage, California, of natural causes. He was 91. That death, 1 month ago, is the reason this list exists. Because his partner, Howard Platt, who played Officer Hoppy, is now 87 years old and is the last man standing from Sanford and Son, which leaves the 2 whose names were on the door, Fred. Redd Foxx had a bit he did for 6 years. He'd clutch his chest, stagger, look up, and call out to his dead wife, "Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you." America laughed at it every week. In October 1991, Fox was rehearsing a new series called The Royal Family. He grabbed his chest and went down on the floor, and the people on that stage stood there and laughed, because they had all grown up watching him do exactly that. By the time anyone understood it was real, it was too late. He died that day, the 11th of October, 1991, at 68. Eddie Murphy, who had just made Harlem Nights with him, was widely reported to have paid for the funeral, and that mattered, because 2 years earlier, the IRS had seized Fox's Las Vegas home and his cars over more than $700,000 in unpaid taxes. The biggest black star on television in the 1970s died owing money. Fox was the first of this cast to go. The son he spent 6 seasons yelling at was the last, Lamont. Demond Wilson was 25 when he got the part, and he was already a Vietnam veteran, wounded in combat before he ever read for a camera. He was one half of the highest-rated comedy duo in the country, and then he walked away from Hollywood almost completely, became an ordained minister, and spent decades preaching and writing. He and Fox stayed close. On the 30th of January, 2026, Demond Wilson died at his home in Palm Springs, California. He was 79. His family said it was complications from cancer, and one of his sons told reporters that his father had prostate cancer. He was the last surviving member of the main cast of Sanford and Son, and when he went, the Sanford family went with him. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.